3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining for another interview on today's History Live. Today, I'm speaking to my very first American guest. Her name is Marissa Horowitz-Jaffe. Hi, Marissa.
Hi, Curtis.
How are you doing?
We're great. We're cold, but we're great. Everything's great. Did you hear that we are Zooming into a classroom? A teacher has us on their Zoom for the class right now.
Okay, so I will be on my best behavior.
No bad words.
Well, Marissa is quite amazing. She is the founder of Museums with Marissa, where she takes people on private VIP tours of the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Marissa has also started doing online classes throughout the pandemic, throughout the lockdown, sharing her passion for history with people. Mainly, she teaches classes of younger children, but also for adults. Marissa holds a degree in Roman archaeology and Egyptology, but she mainly specializes in ancient Egypt and Rome. So Marissa, please could you tell everyone, how did you end up getting married in an Egyptian temple?
Because I didn't ask for permission and I just did it. Decided to do it here because I'm so lucky that I live 18.3 miles from the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and that's what I just stood in a corner with my fiance, 2 witnesses, and a justice of the peace. Just did it. No one bothered us. It was fine.
Yeah, that was in the Temple of Dendur, which is at the Metropolitan Museum now.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. I have a picture. Ta-da! We got engaged, and then we got married. And my best friend Alana, she made this little bouquet for me. I didn't even have anything. She brought it. She's on the call. Yeah.
Yeah, that is so sweet. I mean, not many people can say that they have gotten married inside an ancient Egyptian temple.
Yeah, my marriage certificate actually says location Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Wow.
So anyway.
That's quite something. But I mean, you have this huge love affair with the Metropolitan Museum, which is that how you started Museums with Marissa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened. How I got into all of this. I hear a lot of people telling me their stories, and also in these interviews of this mysticism or this Egyptian, something grabbed them, whatever it is, a mummy that they saw at their local museum, something. For me, it was this moment. This picture captured it when our family visited New York to visit my grandfather in Queens. And when I walked into the Great Hall of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which, as you guys know, is this beautiful, it's all skylights, and the light was very important to me. Light's always, I guess, been important to me, and it was magical. And then here at the Temple of Dendur, I just was like, I don't know what this is, but I want to learn about it, and I want to teach other people about it.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was a job. I didn't know that was something you could do. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it must be a very fun job.
Yes, I don't really consider it a job because it's my life. It's my passion and my hobby and my job and my career. It's everything.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think
very lucky.
People say if you have a job that doesn't feel like a job, then you're in the right job. So
exactly.
Yeah. So there's you and Lonnie.
That's what I do. Yeah, my sister and I. So I love that picture of us, and I'm so lucky that we have it. Because this is like, the Hamilton song In the Room Where It Happens, which I don't think is as popular, not outside of the United States, the Hamilton musical.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the moment. That was the moment. And I never changed. And somehow my parents allowed me to continue with this. A lot of children outgrow, wanting to be an archaeologist or wanting to be an Egyptologist, and I never did.
Yeah.
just got stronger and stronger. And I had parents that supported that, which I still don't know why, because my younger sister and younger brother, they had to go to law school, and they had to like go get a career that you can pay your mortgage.
Yeah.
And when I decided I had to go to college, I had to figure out which school to go to, and I knew that I wanted to work at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. I knew which office, which desk. I mean, I could visualize it.
Yeah. So now you've got Museums with Marissa, and you're taking people on these private tours, showing them the most special artifacts and things, but you also take groups of children and help let them get involved in history.
Yeah. I don't know that I think that's what makes Museums with Marissa, unique. That, the artifacts are available to touch and interact with and smell. When you go to a museum, of course you can't do that.
Yeah.
But with me, I encourage it, and I've never had any issue with it. Only one silly little thing broke, which was a replica, and doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And here's a picture. And I come into schools and, oops, no, that's the museum.
But it's so important for people, for especially kids, if they can touch something from history, that's going to get them hooked. So I think it's very important. It's a good idea.
And I've found that, and I've gotten feedback. Yes. I get these beautiful emails from parents and from teachers and adults. They touch a coin and it changes them. It makes them think differently.
Yeah.
It's great. It's really great.
Yeah. I see the pictures with all the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that must be great. You also take the artifacts and you go and do talks at their schools. So that must be quite an amazing experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I come and I set up an entire, you see it, what I set up, and I'll do a presentation, PowerPoint. And then I allow the kids to, I provide papyrus, and they write their names on papyrus and hieroglyphics so they could actually feel it and yes. Experiential education.
Yeah. I gave a series of lectures at a school just outside of Bella Bella here. And it was so interesting because these kids, they knew a little bit about Egypt, but they didn't know so much. So I was giving this whole lecture with a huge screen showing the pictures, and I can see a lot of them really got interested. And at one point I was talking about Ramses II with all the wives, and I was talking about Nefertari, and I said, why do you think he built the tomb and the temple for her? And this one little girl put up her hand, and I looked at her and I said, yes. And she said, because he respected her. And I was like, oh, wow. You're like 7 years old and you've got this in your mind?
Yeah.
What has been the
moments like that.
Yeah. What has been the strangest question that you've received from kids when you do these presentations?
I get a lot of questions about things that they've read about curses and booby traps. And one of my nicknames is Marissa the Mythbuster, because I'm always like, I'm gonna be straight with you. Here's the archaeology, here's the science. We have King Tutankhamun's mummy. He wasn't murdered. James Patterson, reach out to me. This book is wrong. Anybody knows James Patterson? I'm so annoyed at that book. But it's great.
Are wrong. It's not just that one.
Yeah. I actually had a client or a guest at the Met, and she was just so hungry. And she's like, do you have any croissants in that bag of yours? Because I kept bringing stuff out, like Roman coins and an oil lamp and all these things. She's like, you got any croissants? No, I don't. That was interesting.
Yeah. So what do you think the audiences prefer when you speak to them? Ancient Egypt or ancient Rome?
I don't know. I've thought about that, and what what I thought is usually wrong. I don't know. I wonder if there's a lot of people on here who have taken my classes. I've found that my class on the pyramids, the Giza Plateau, more than just pyramids, is very popular. And my hieroglyphics lecture, my glyphs lecture is quite popular.
Yeah.
And for the kids, Gladiators and Secrets of the Colosseum.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. But when you take people around the Met, what is the one piece that you're like, I have to show them every time?
That's like saying, which twin do I like better? It's hard.
So which one?
Which one? The one that's not bothering me is the one I like better. Right, Kate? Horemheb as scribe. I've actually brought him up to you quite a bit. Something about that, I don't know what it is. And then, of course, the Temple of Dender, the room itself is sacred to me.
Yeah.
That you have to go there.
Yeah.
Most people want to go see the Impressionists.
The Temple of Dender, it's a special temple because it's not dedicated to a pharaoh. It's dedicated to two brothers that died. Am I correct?
Yep.
Yeah. It's a Roman.
You are. And when I tell people this is actually Roman. Yeah, I'm like, you're looking at a Roman temple. They're like, what? I'm like, let me tell you the story. And we sit down and I have all these great vintage pictures of river and when it flooded and how it got here to New York City and the Dender Derby. But yeah, it was kind of a minor temple, minor monument. And it was, Caesar Augustus is portrayed as a pharaoh on the side. It's not, it's amazing. Nobody knows that. So come with me and I'll teach you.
Yeah, I want to see it. I mean, it's Roman, but Egyptianized. So.
Right.
Yeah. But what is it about teaching people about these ancient civilizations that excites you so much?
Gosh, I don't know. It's just like, it's like asking why do I have brown eyes? I don't know. I just do. It's just
instinct.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, I've never known anything else, right? So I decided at 10 years old, I wanted to be a person who holds a little flag in a museum and walks backwards and says, come with me, here we go. We're gonna go look at this cup now, this ancient Roman cup. And so from then on, I chose a university that had specific majors that I could major in, had a museum that I could intern in. Every summer I would do something just to continue this path.
Yeah.
And I never understood that having this passion for a career, I assumed everybody had that, right? Because I just did until I got older and I realized, in grad school, some people were like, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm like, but you're in grad school. Like, you should have figured that out
years ago. Yeah. It's interesting you talk about seeing the people walking with the little flag, because that's what Nuri said the other day as well. She saw these people walking with a flag and she was like, I want to do that.
Yeah. And she did it.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's something about those flags.
So you don't know what's going to touch a child, right? I don't know what I'm going to say that might resonate with a person or a child, which will then continue their love of something. But it was really my dad's interest in archaeology, who he was on right now. He's a dentist by profession.
Yeah.
But he worked on a kibbutz. Like he quit college and went to this kibbutz. And they have pottery shards, right? Like just that you just find as when you're farming in Israel. And so he would always go to the archaeologists. Yeah, I got tons of pottery shards here. They're called ostraca. And so he started getting into archaeology. And when he came, back, he just was still interested. And then I grew up in a house filled with these artifacts and I would ask questions about them.
Yeah.
Usually was so I didn't have to go to bed. I'd stay up late. He would let me stay up late. Like, hey, Dad, what's that mean? Where's this from? Like, I really didn't care, but I just didn't want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And
And
now
you
I,
don't go to sleep at all.
yeah, they're always trying to stay up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But has there been a time when you've been, talking to children and you see something light up in their eye or in their mind and you go, oh, I think this kid has got something for history?
Absolutely. There are some kids that just blow me away where they'll make a connection that, if I had been speaking to an adult audience, I would have maybe talked about it. But
Yeah.
you have to change what you're saying for the age, and they'll say it, and I'm just like, it'll blow me away. But I have that same experience with adults, and some of your other guests have said things that I also, everything is connected. I want to know about you. We're all just curious. All of the people you've had here in your interviews, we're curious people, and we want to know, and we're always asking questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Almost to a fault.
Bethany actually said that yesterday. It's about learning about other people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And my parents would hate it. They would hate taking me to a museum. And my sister used to get so annoyed because I would have to sit and read everything. It didn't even matter what the museum was about. It could have been about moon rocks. Well, I had to sit and learn all about moon rocks.
Yeah. So would you say that your interest in history actually started from your dad?
Right.
Yeah.
And then he would go and he was always reading. He's always reading magazines like Archaeology and BAR, the Biblical Archaeological Review. They're always were around the house. Minerva is another one. And I just, again, thought every father just knew about archaeology and history because that's what my dad did. My mom was always promoting it, sure, yeah. So take the magazine. What is this archaeology and how can I be a part of this? Yeah. And the past is so interesting.
Yeah. But
we're all the same, right? We're all just people.
Yeah. But you actually have studied archaeology and you actually had a career as an archaeologist. Where was your first dig?
I dug in Ashkelon, Israel. I wouldn't call it a career. But I did it because I had to, right? I needed to know which part of this world of archaeology and museums and history I fit into. That was an overarching topic.
Yeah.
Did I want to be an actual archaeologist in the field? So how do you know? Well, you go and you do it.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and it was miserable.
Why? What made it so bad?
It was just the monotony of it was monotonous. I didn't mind being dirty. I didn't mind having to check my boots for scorpions in the morning. I wasn't worried about that.
Well, we have to do that every day in South Africa. It's not like a...
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You bang your shoes out before you put them on in case there's something inside.
Geez, yeah. Not here in suburban New York. Wow. Yeah, it wasn't any of that. It was just not. I'm so glad I did it. I loved the hands-on experience, but it also made me understand, okay, I'm Emperor and somebody else can clean it and I will teach you about it.
Yeah.
That's what I figured out.
Yeah. A lot of people who are interested in history are not into digging, getting dirty and doing all that. They want to learn about the things. So I think that's why some people have certain callings. We need those archaeologists who are going to go and dig out so that we can study it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I admire them. But it's definitely not romantic or the movies are not right. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. The Mummy's a little bit fantasy, right?
All that stuff. Yeah, in my Archaeology 101 program that I have 2 slides devoted just to what archaeology is not.
Yeah.
It just is not. and it's not dinosaur bones, right? It's not that. That's paleontology. That's always a big one for adults. Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know there was a difference.
Yeah.
Between paleontology and archaeology.
And we don't all dress like Indiana Jones and find treasure and.
No, but when I teach my archaeology class, I do, just because it's fun. There we go.
That's a nice hat.
It was my husband's. And then I even have this too. I've got props. I have things for days. You don't even know what I have. It's like,
I know, and so many of the other talks that you've been on, it's like there's always a prop coming out somewhere. It's so interesting. You never know what you're going to pull out next.
We can just keep going. Yeah, I've got all my friends here because I'm teaching it. I'm using them, and when I teach kids, I'm like, this is what we see in a museum, right? Everything's white. This is my friend Julius. This is my friend Augustus. Hello. But in real life, back in the day, they would have been brightly color painted. Oh, wow. I never would have thought about that. So it's nice to have that kind of.
Yeah, that reference.
Right.
Yeah. But when did you actually first go to Egypt?
The first time was with my dad when I think I was 16 years old. And then I went every couple of years. Yeah, right, Dad, I was about 16, which I think, like now as an adult, knowing what I know, I wish I had all this like maturity and knowledge back then. I guess we all probably feel that way to a certain point. If I were to go to Egypt now, after teaching about it for so long, I think I would appreciate it more.
Yeah. I think once you start learning more about the civilization, you start to appreciate it more, not just Egypt, although that's the only civilization that's around.
It's the only one that matters, according to you.
But no, like ancient Greece and the Phoenicians and Turkey and the Persians and all of these places, I think once you learn more about what they're about, they're not just something that happened 3,000, 4,000 years ago. It was a real event, and then you start to appreciate it.
I agree, and that's the moment where, when I see it in my guests at the Met, or when I'm teaching, adults at a library, and so I'm always saying people are people. Yeah. We're all the same, whether it's 2021 CE or 2021 BCE. Gold is gold, right? Greed is greed. That's why there's nothing left in any of the pharaonic tombs except for King Tutankhamun, right? That's why everything's gone.
Exactly. Greed.
Yeah.
But was there a time when you visited a site in Egypt that you actually went, now I'm in Egypt?
You're gonna hate this answer. The answer is no. The answer is no, because I hear it all the time from other people and from my guests in libraries, and that they were in Egypt and they were in a tomb or they were somewhere and they felt something. How many times have we heard that, Curtis, right? In talking to people, something mystical or a feeling. Not me, because I think I understand how this mastaba was built. I understand the lives of the men who painted it. I know what happened here.
Yeah.
But I do get that feeling. at the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Mm-hmm. It is a historic site in itself.
When I walk into that space, like I can almost start to cry now. I actually touch the walls very, discreetly in gratitude. I'm thanking the institution for existing. It has shaped my life.
Yeah.
I'm thanking all the people who made all the art, and who's, none of the stuff in the museum was meant to be on display, except for later, when you get past, the European stuff, but the ancient stuff, it wasn't meant for hey, let's bring a group of 15 people and let's look at this little canopic jar.
It's sacred, yeah.
Wasn't meant for that. My sacred spot is the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Yeah.
No question.
That's wonderful, because your entire career and your entire life has now evolved from going to that museum to now taking people to that museum, sharing your passion, sharing the history of Egypt, of Rome, all these places because of that museum. I think that's quite amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when do we see you at the
you know,
gala?
I'm not interested in going to the Met Gala. That's a whole different, I don't care about that. I think the pictures are cool. But
when
just, you know.
When they do an ancient Egyptian theme at the Met Gala, then we'll go, okay.
Will you be my date?
Yes.
You have? Okay, good. All right. I'm going to hold you to that. Doug won't mind.
That's it.
Right, Doug? My husband's
Anna Wintour is watching
settled.
now. We are coming to the Egyptian themed Met Gala.
And you and I will like collaborate on what our like outfits are going to be.
Are we going to have the best outfit? I don't know if they give prizes there, but we're going to get a prize.
I mean, I'll just wear this and we'll be like, let's go. We're ready. But that's my sacred
extreme eyeliner.
spot. Do the eyeliner. Yeah. I tried to do it for you today, but my sister is the one who's good with art, and I'm not.
We'll do that on another video. I'll teach you how I do the smudge.
My sister has tried. I'm 45 or 44. I don't know how old I am. It's not happening. I would have already learned it.
Yeah.
I'm good at what I'm good at, right? We're all good at what we're good at. And thank God for that. The world revolves around that. If we were all good at the same thing,
it would be boring.
That would not be right.
Yeah. But
yeah, the Met is it for me. But if to be honest, I've actually never had a job there. I've never worked there.
Yeah.
I kind of went around. I had an internship there. I did my college. They have a college internship program, and that's probably the thing I'm the most proud about, more than even getting into Harvard and all that stuff, because it was so competitive.
Yeah.
My year, they took 16 interns and 400 people applied, and you have to give a practice tour to the curator of the department you're doing the tour on and the director of the internship program. So of course I wrote a tour called Daily Life in Ancient Egypt. How basic, but very me. And the feedback that I got, I've never forgotten, and I noticed that also in your interviews that you have, Curtis, that certain things that mentors say to you really stick out.
Yeah.
And they said that I said hieroglyphics wrong. So that's an adjective. It's hieroglyphs.
Yeah, hieroglyphics is to actually make them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the adjective, right? So, but I still use the word glyphics sometimes when I'm talking to other people, just because it's easier, they understand that more. And the other piece of feedback she had was that I was, quote, too enthusiastic. I had to tone it down.
Oh, so they want a boring tour guide.
I was too enthusiastic. Marissa, you're too enthusiastic. You have to take it down a notch. That was the feedback.
But hieroglyphics is not even an Egyptian word. That is a Greek word. So if you want to be really specific, just say glyphs.
Yeah, I just say glyphs because it's easier anyway.
Yeah.
But every time I'm giving a tour in Egyptian,
I can't spell hieroglyphics.
I teach the kids to say glyphs just because it's easier and it just means symbols. But I remember exactly in the museum where that happened, where that conversation happened in the Egyptian galleries. And when I walk by it, when I'm giving a tour, I always look at that one thing and I'm like, I
want to smash it. Yeah.
One stela. Yeah. I'm like, gosh, now look at me. Now I'm giving a tour here and I could have as much energy as I want.
Exactly.
Right? I can be enthusiastic as I want.
Are you good at reading glyphs?
Are you?
Ish.
Well, yeah, you are.
Ish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do still have my textbook. They didn't offer this class as an undergraduate in Michigan. I had to petition to get into the graduate class for the graduate program for Near Eastern Studies at the University of Michigan.
Yeah.
I was a senior and they allowed me. So I was the only undergrad, and then there was about 8 or 9 graduate students, and I was completely out of my, I didn't understand anything that was going on.
Yeah.
It was overwhelming, but at the same time, I was so excited after years of just looking at the glyphs and everybody has this, you go to Egypt, and you get your name written in glyphs and
Yes.
on papyrus. And I was finally going to learn, like, wow. And then I learned it was just like Latin, like with past participles and future tenses and determinatives, and it was just a lot.
So vast. There's so many characters as well that makes it even more complicated. So, and there's characters that we don't even know what they mean still. So a lot of it is guesswork. Cartouches, we know how to read those. It's quite straightforward, but yeah, there's a lot we don't know.
Yeah. I feel like we've learned a lot in the last, just for me as a passive observer, and seeing what's going on, and seeing other people ask for help on the Facebook pages, and then others will help, and you draw the lines in between, because there's no spaces in between words in glyphs, so and no vowels. So I teach, when I teach hieroglyphs, very basic, one symbol can mean 3 things. There's no vowels.
The word can be spelled out completely, or it can be shortened to 1 character or 3. Yeah.
But it's cool to be able to recognize words, symbols that are 1 word, like Niwit, like city, with the 2 roads. So if I'm teaching and I see some of the words that I use, that I know, like Ankh is a word.
Yeah.
You see that everywhere. So you can explain, I can teach, well, this is city, and this is giving.
There's, although I did see in some hieratic script on papyrus, what I would say is the first signs of punctuation, because they would use full stops in a red, so they would write in black, and then after a sentence, they would put at the top of the word a red dot, and then they would write and a red dot. And I was like, oh, that looks like punctuation. That's actually breaking up the sentences.
Yeah, the black and the red, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But, with Rome and Egypt, there is this crossover that happened with the empires where Cleopatra was defeated by the Romans, blah, blah. We all know this story very well, I hope. Otherwise, they're on the wrong talk. But if Cleopatra had actually got the army together and defeated the Romans, how different do you think our world would be today?
Ooh, that's juicy, Curtis. God.
Would we be speaking,
I don't know. It's interesting to think.
Speaking different languages? What would we be doing?
Probably because English is Latin, it comes from Latin. And instead of having, the different orders of the columns, Doric, Ionic, Corinthian, we would have the lotus Corinthian instead of the
lotus, the date, and the palm, and
yeah, maybe Monet, instead of painting a bazillion water lilies, he'd be painting lotus flowers. Monet would have been doing that. Claude Monet. Yeah. I'm writing a program right now on Impressionism. So I have all that. That's why I keep referring back to Impressionism. It's in my head too. It's an interesting question, Curtis.
Yeah. We wouldn't have the Colosseum in Vegas. We'd have, I don't know, something else.
Yeah, I wonder what other people think about that.
Yeah, it would be interesting to actually open that up as a discussion. What would life be like if Cleopatra had defeated the Romans? I'm sure the religious sides and a whole bunch of things would have changed somehow. Yeah,
I think architecture would look very different.
Yeah,
what we consider classical architecture would look very different.
Exactly. But Rome and Greece, they were quite established civilizations, but Egypt had been doing things that they were doing thousands of years before, like the columns and the arches and the vaulted ceilings. And, the Greeks only found out these things later on, and from what we see as well, the Romans then started copying the Greeks. Do you think that the Romans were appreciating the Egyptian civilization and what the Egyptians and the Greeks had done? Or do you think the Romans were just going, oh, we'll just copy them?
I think they appreciated it. I think the Romans did that quite a bit. I think the Romans were smart when they would conquer places. They would look at the current culture and they would allow them to continue with their religion and their own monetary systems to a point, but as long as you paid your taxes, right? And so Egypt, the breadbasket of the empire, everybody wanted Egypt because of the wheat that came out of there. I think that they appreciated it and the way they syncretized it and morphed it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think so. What do you think?
You know, it's difficult because a lot of the gods and goddesses in Rome are basically just variations of the ones from Greece, but they just changed the names. So for me, if they were appreciating it, I think they would have kept the names. They wouldn't have changed the names. So not totally sure on that, whether they were appreciating or copying. I think that's open for discussion as well.
But it could be both, you know, syncretization, where one, you know, borrowing from your neighbors. I have a lecture about that too, about the Romans in Egypt. But you see that, you know, across the world, it's not just, I try and explain that in when I'm teaching. It's not just, these places are not in a vacuum. And one of your interviewees said that before. Nothing comes from everything. You can draw a line, right? I can draw a line from one thing to another.
Yeah. If you had lived in ancient Rome as a woman, do you think you would have had a good life compared to living in Egypt?
I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a woman, an ancient Egyptian woman could own land and it had more agency than I believe in Rome. Yeah. I don't know if anybody agrees or disagrees with me.
I don't think it would have been fun as a woman in Rome. I mean, they basically had to cover their faces. They weren't given many rights. In Egypt, a woman could do whatever she liked, basically.
Yeah, they were a lot more forward-thinking, you know, everything. Their society, their architecture. And, you know, the more you learn, the more you realize what you don't know. That's something I've been noticing, how much I just don't know. Like you think you know, but
you know, talking about change, it's weird because so many things do change. I mean, even now, things have changed from how they used to be then, some good, some bad. But you've worked at several museums throughout your life. What is the one thing that you would like to change, that you would like to see change about how museums are run?
Oof. I would have liked, so I worked at big museums, right? I was always go big or go home. So I worked at MoMA, the Whitney, interned at the Met, and then I also worked at the New York State Council on the Arts, which is what the NEA, which is the National Endowment for the Arts, which here in the United States is the government art granting agency. The one in New York was first, and then the United States based it around that. I think that they don't ask the people on the ground enough, like the people, all the directors, and they're all running around, and then you have the board, who are people that are just,
they're bored.
They're the board, and we used to get invited to some of the meetings, and I remember, if I said her name, you guys would know her because she's like super famous. She's like, I think that's why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen. And she was like, I want to hear what you have to say. And all of us just looked at each other and rolled our eyes. I'm like, yeah, right. Your last name is, you know, and it's a name in New York City. Everybody knows. Like, you're not going to listen to little old me and how I think MoMA could be run better.
Yeah.
But I had ideas.
You have to be vocal.
But you can't, though, when you're in a big place like that. If you're in a small museum, if you're a small historic house, then you can. Then you have more, you're taking on many roles.
Yeah.
And that's a different kind of career, a different kind of job. And that definitely has benefits.
Yeah, there's no hierarchy, so.
It's more work, but you also learn more experience. And for anyone who's interested in a job in museums, I always would suggest try a small museum and a big museum. I also worked at a small historic home in Washington, D.C. called the Decatur House, which is older than the White House. It's next door to the White House. Okay. And I actually learned more there than I did at my internship at the Met, if you can believe.
Yeah.
Because I had to do more.
Yeah. But Marissa, I want to get a little personal with you.
Sure.
So I do know that you've been quite vocal about your difficulties with having children, and everything that you had to go through, and now you've eventually had twins.
Right.
What advice do you have? If we can do something good from this, if we can help one person, if they're listening, who's having trouble, what advice would you give them?
Be your own advocate. And that's for anybody who's I called myself a professional patient for 5 years. Like, that was my job in addition to everything else. No one's going to care enough about you being successful with this medical treatment except you and your partner, if you have a partner. So that's what I did. And I was all in. I didn't give up. Again, go big or go home, right? I'm not stopping. And so 13 IVFs and 5 years later, wow, and 3 gestational surrogates, we have the miracle twins, the boy-girl twins.
Yeah, well, that is quite amazing. I mean, a lot of people would have given up a lot sooner, but you kept going. Yeah.
And I like to talk to, people about it.
Yeah. It's like Celine often talks about her problems having children.
Yes.
And also she had IVF. She had IVF 3 times, got pregnant, and then lost that child as a miscarriage. Then she went for 2 more, it didn't work in the next one. She finally got pregnant with twins. And a lot of people at the time, this is now many years ago.
It was a while ago. I remember following it.
Yeah, they didn't like her speaking about it. They said, "Oh, but this is something private. You shouldn't speak about it." So I think it's good, like what you've been doing, speaking about it. It helps people.
I love that she did. And the Celine he's talking about, by the way, Celine Dion. For those who don't know, Curtis knows Celine Dion. He's done filmmaking with her. You just throw out the word Celine as if we all know who she is. There's an American audience here. Yeah, I love that. And I'm an open book, and I don't care. Like, I don't understand why that should be private. I mean, my husband and my father and my mother probably disagree with me. But I don't know, you are who you are. And,
keep going. It will happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she did it in New York. So.
Yeah, I know. We were at the same clinic, actually. She went to the clinic. I went to there's like 5 clinics here. We all kind of go to the same ones. I ran into celebrities. I ran into celebrities all the time because it's New York City.
Yeah. And it's a struggle that a lot of people have, and not a lot of people speak about it. And I think if they do, they'll just accept it and it'll become normal. Okay, cool. You're going for IVF. Great. Good luck. Yeah.
I think it's changed. I think it's been that way. Yeah. But that and Egyptology. Just talk about both at the same time.
Exactly. We gotta diversify, keep everyone interested. But was there ever a time where you felt like changing careers?
No. Right, Doug and Lonnie?
No.
I mean,
you just went for it.
I literally knew, because being an intern in the education department at the Met, I knew where the offices were. And I would visualize, walking in to the downstairs entrance, and that you make a right, and that's the education department. And that is my future. Yeah. And I don't care what I have to do, I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
It didn't get there, right? I went around. I made my own way.
Yeah. Sometimes that's better. Sometimes that is better, doing it yourself.
I think you're right, and I think that's also good advice. I don't think I would fit in with that institution's culture. I think I'm too energetic.
Yeah, yeah. Too enthusiastic. And I don't think that being enthusiastic is a bad thing. I think there is a thing with certain scholars. They're quite boring and they don't like people being enthusiastic. I'm just very lucky that all of my friends that I know, the Egyptologists, the historians, everyone is so enthusiastic about what they do, which I think is great. So.
Yeah, every person you've interviewed, it actually surprised me at how like nonstop chattering they were. You make these assumptions like Dr. Aidan Dodson and Dr. Tariq Tawek and Zawi Hawass, well, Zawi, we all know Zawi Hawass and stuff, but that they're going to be these very, I have a PhD and blah, 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 but they're not like that. Yeah. They're like me.
They're fun.
They're fun. We're fun people.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the one thing I've really enjoyed. Like a lot of my friends that I speak to, I talk to them because I know we have to show people that yes, you can do this and you can not just be a stuffy scholar. So yeah. Marissa, my last question for you.
I pride myself that I don't do that. That I don't stand in a lot in blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. But you have to be yourself. But my last question for you before we jump to the rapid fire questions. What is the one thing about working in your field that you feel has changed your life?
Gosh. Well, what is my field? I don't know what my field is. Like, what am I?
Egyptologist,
historian. I'm many, but you know how I feel about being called an Egyptologist. I don't think I deserve that title. I think my field is museum educator.
Yeah.
Right? I think I call myself a professional museum educator.
Yeah. For anyone who's watching and hasn't seen before, we had this conversation in a talk with Nora Kheder. So if you want to see what we discussed about calling people Egyptologists, you can check that out. And we all said you're an Egyptologist. Everyone agreed you're an Egyptologist.
But well, we have Americans on, so I think that they would agree with me, because in here, if you have ologist behind your name, you have a PhD, or you are a doctorate in that, right? I don't have a PhD in Egyptology. I have an undergrad degree in Egyptology.
Yeah.
But what was the question?
What is the one thing about your career working in your field that you feel has changed your life?
I think that's a hard one, because my life is my career, and my career is my life, and my passion is my life, and my passion is my career.
Yeah.
I'm always talking about Egypt. Well, you could ask my husband and my kids. Yeah. You can throw any topic at me and I will somehow relate it to ancient Egypt. It's like a party.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone's drinking beer. I'm like, guess what? The Egyptians.
Yeah, right. They used to give beer to babies in ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So nothing. I wouldn't change anything. I'm very proud of what I've done. When you're in the job, and you don't realize what you're learning from it until after. And I didn't know that until later. So when I was like not so happy when I was at MoMA, because I was in a different department that I wanted to be in, and I was in the grant writing department. I'd come home and be like, but boy, did I learn stuff. I didn't realize how I could take those skills with me, and you just keep stacking your skills, right? Like the step pyramid of Sakura. You just keep stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And then you have all this amazing experience. And then
Exactly.
you know, and then here you are talking to Curtis.
Yeah, crazy how things work out.
Yeah. And the pandemic has been awful, but terrible, but I've been able to meet so many people.
Mm-hmm.
I've taught students in 41 countries, which is unbelievable. That like blew my mind. 41 countries.
That's amazing.
When I got that stat. Yeah.
Yeah.
And meeting all you guys, you know, talking to you guys and meeting all these amazing, smart, creative people.
Exactly. I think that's been one good thing that has come out of this pandemic. I have met so many people online. It's amazing how you can meet people online. I have made contact with you. I've met Bethany now. We've got Percy and Isabel online. I mean, we've all met through the pandemic. So
yeah,
this is
Derek, Jill, yeah,
exactly. Jill, Derek, Nuri. I didn't know Nuri, so you know.
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
We're connectors.
I've made some amazing friends. John J. Johnson. We met through the pandemic, and now we talk like every day. So it's just insane how this has had a good and a bad effect on the world.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly. And now, you know, I'm talking to you, I'm talking to Salima, I'm talking to Stephanie, I'm talking to all these people. And it's just amazing. Yeah.
Agreed.
So this has been so much fun chatting to you, Marissa. I feel like we got to know you a bit more. We got to know a bit more about what you do, what Museums with Marissa is. I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to speak to all of us today. I have some quick fire questions, and then we'll take some questions from the audience. Are you ready?
I was born ready. I'm born ready when it comes to Egyptology.
Right. Okay. Favorite place in Egypt?
Museum. Go figure.
Favorite ancient site in Egypt?
I don't have one. This is crazy. I want to be the pyramids.
Okay.
The mastaba fields in front of the pyramids because no one's ever there.
Yeah. Favorite artifact?
This Roman mosaic that my mom almost broke her foot on at Caesarea on the beach in Israel. And I use it to teach. You can see the tessera, and you can see the ancient Roman concrete, and it's really, really heavy. And my mom didn't want to give it to me, but I took it.
On the beach in Israel.
Yeah, and the city Caesarea, which obviously is a Roman site. It was under the sand, and this was in the 80s when you could just take stuff like that, like little bits.
Yeah.
Now it's mine, and I use it to teach all the time.
That's a big bit. Favorite pharaoh?
Hatshepsut.
Mm-hmm. Favorite queen?
Hatshepsut. Why is that funny?
I'm giving you the option to expand.
I know what I like, and there's a whole room at the Met of Hatshepsut, and I call it the female power room, and I like to talk about that.
Yeah. Favorite place apart from Egypt?
Come on, guys, we all know this answer. The Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Finally, Rome, Egypt, or Greece?
Again, pick a child. I actually get questions like that quite a bit, especially when I'm on a tour. Come on, just tell me, which one do you like teaching better? And I'll never say, because I don't want to, lead the audience or make them think differently. So I'll never say. I have an answer, but I'll never say it out loud.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Marissa. This has been so much fun.
That was the strangest quick fire you've ever done.
Yeah. So I would like to open up to anybody who has some questions for Marissa. We have a lot of people online, so.
I can, Curtis, if you don't mind.
Hi, Jill. Of course not. I always want you. I'm like, where is Jill with her questions?
Oh, well, first off, thanks, Marissa. I mean, your enthusiasm just shines through. But I did wonder, have you come across a curse in a tomb?
I have not.
Well, now, interestingly, Derek and I are doing a course at the moment on the very, very old part, going way back. And this is from a tomb in the pyramid builders, one of the pyramid builders at Giza. And it's one of the ones I think Hawass came across. And the guy's name is called Pateti. And he's had on either side of the entrance, he's had this put in hieroglyphs. Listen, all of you, the priest of Hathor will beat twice any of you who enters this tomb or does harm to it. The gods will confront him because I am honored by his Lord. The gods will not allow anything to happen to me. Anyone who does anything bad to my tomb, then the crocodile, the hippopotamus, and the lion will eat him. It's certainly a threat. If maybe it's not a curse, but it's certainly a threat formula.
Yeah.
It's just that we learned this week. I'd never heard it before.
I'm not going in there.
I think I saw that on your page, on your Facebook page, actually. I think I remember reading that. Yeah. Thank you, Jill.
You're most welcome.
Thanks, Jill.
I don't know if there's any questions of people interested in museum education careers, but oh, these chats are beautiful. Oh my God, I need to like save them, put them on my tombstone. These are beautiful. Thank you guys.
Yeah, I've just seen the chat pop up. There's like some nice comments there.
Hello, Marissa.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi, Percy. Hi, Isabel.
Ask your question.
Hello. Now, have you got a very good recipe from ancient Egypt you can recommend?
They exist, right, Derek? They Curtis, I was looking at Derek and Curtis. They exist, but you know, like their bread and stuff, but who knows if it's good? I mean, all of their bread had sand in it and their teeth were all ground out. So
I will check for you, Isabel, because the bread recipe hasn't changed that much. The way they still bake it inside the big clay ovens, the way it's put out in the sun and the seeds that go on top, it's very much the same from what they did 4,000, 5,000 years ago. I've never made it, but I'm pretty sure we can get a recipe on that. And then there's also a honey cake that they used to make that apparently we do have the recipe for. I just haven't seen it, but apparently it is there somewhere.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
we'll have you instant goods for your French chateau guests.
Exactly, a surprise.
They own a French chateau. That's the woman who's talking right now. They're fixing up a 500-year-old chateau.
Yeah, they're very, very much at home in Egyptology history. Now, when you think Chris North, it's very much Romo-Greek. But another one we go to, John Billman, he's very much happy in the early dynasties or dynasties, whichever one they go. Have you got a particular little niche which others spread out, but they all really like one particular part in the 3,000 years of history? Is there one little part which you particularly like to be interested? I mean, the early dynasties are so different from the rest as Egypt developed. You know, no, sorry, I wondered. Have you got any particular interest?
Wow. I think as an educator, I don't know. See, again, it goes back to like, am I an Egyptologist or Egyptology educator? I don't know if I have a specific. I do know that I kind of gloss over New Kingdom things because in my head, because my father was always interested in artifacts from the Levant and old, you know, to me, the older the better. I don't know. I think that's just part of my DNA. So, New Kingdom. like show me the goods from the old kingdom, right? Show me
Yes.
that stuff. But then I want to investigate how things changed. I like seeing the differences. Maybe that's my thing. I'm always trying to pull connections together.
Chronology.
Don't see.
Yes.
You know, why did the ears start coming out?
Mm.
You know, on the death masks, and some aren't. And I just think that's really cool. And at the Met, because it's chronological in this one big circle, you know, I can do that there. And it's, but I'm gonna have to think about that. I don't know if I have. If anybody on here knows me, do I? Gosh.
No, I think about the development in statuary from the old kingdom, you know, into the new kingdom, and how it changed so much, and the predictions of how each one was illustrated, the striations you see of the differences as you develop with the portrayal of bodies and costumes and
yes. I think I'm also just interested. I love fresh eyes. And it's funny, Nuri said that. A lot of things that Nuri, and for those, Nuri is a tour guide in Egypt. So you go to Egypt, you can hire her and she'll take you around for 10 days. You know, that's what she does. Very high energy. I think like she and I would get along great. She goes to the same sites over and over again, but you're not bored, right? So I can understand that. Like, you know, how many times have I taken guests through the Egyptian galleries of the Met? I will never get bored, and I'll always see it through your eyes. That's amazing. That's my favorite thing in the world to do. Or when a guest is like, I never would have seen that if you hadn't pointed it out to me, or I would have walked right by that, Marissa. I'm like, oh, that's the juice. That's what keeps me alive. You know, when you hear that, like, I'm the one to show you this. Oh, and you're paying me for this? Like, how did I, you know, like, this is my dream. I'm living it, you know. I'm so lucky.
Yeah. I think that's great. That's a really good way to look at it. Always see something through fresh eyes.
Yeah, always. I will never get bored going there.
Yeah.
I could go every day. I want to live there. I know exactly where I would live, actually. I have it all mapped out in my head. You guys, I'm really obsessed with the Met. That's why I'll never come to Florida. My family is like, you have to move to Florida because everybody still lives in Florida, and they know. Unless the Met moves to Florida, I don't think they are.
Yes.
That would be quite something if we could get the Met to move to Florida.
Yeah, if you're interested in Boca Raton? I don't think so.
That they could make a Met theme park.
Yeah. No, I'm trying to get them to come to New York. I'm trying to get my sister and my brother to move up here.
Yeah, I think that's easier.
Yeah.
Talking about museums, Jill and I, each time we go to the British Museum, we always go and have a look at Horowitz and his wife. She knows her name, I've forgotten.
Armenia.
It's so beautiful. It's incredible. Every different details, you're entranced with it, and you never fail. Must always go and have a look at it, because it really is an exquisite piece, and quite out of character with all the rest of the trails during that time of how pharaohs were. It's a little break. All right, he started a new. Well, is the last of one dynasty, the start of another. It's true, but it's so out of character with the rest of the trails of pharaohs. It's very tough.
Isn't that so cool, right? So that's something that I would point out, you know, like, how is this different than others? And I always make you work. So if you go on my tour, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to be like, this is Hornhead and this is blah, 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 blah. I'm going to have you find the hieroglyph for scribe written on Hornhead's chest. You find it, right? And then you have that ownership, and you understand what that glyph means and why it looks the way it is.
People remember it. People will remember it then.
That's right. And I think it works because I still get, you know, communication from previous people who have been on my tours, and the impact I've had on them and their children. Yeah. And they keep coming back. So I guess, you know, they like it. And that's amazing. And everybody here does that in some way, in form, in your own way, in whatever the topic is, and your love and your passion, you know, and it's coming through, and you're changing the, you know, moving the things around in the universe.
Yeah.
That way. This just happens to be my way.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll take, just checking out I don't want to run over time for Marissa. I know she has a busy day. So
no, this is my day.
I
I actually turned a tour. I had a woman ask me to do a tour late here at the Met. She's visiting from India, her and her sister, last minute. I was like, sorry, I'm busy today.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He called me last minute anyway.
Does anybody else have a question for Marissa?
Lennon, you're still here. Wow.
No, you have a fascinating life, I suppose, which is fascinating to listen to, because you live your life in something you really love and like all of the time. It fulfills you. So few people have that in life.
Yes.
It does happen to so few people. It's great to see someone like yourself who have fulfilled and are living that life.
Yeah.
Thank you, Derek. Yeah. And I recognize that and I appreciate that. And I still, to this day, my father and my mother, I owe it all to them. You know, if I didn't have their support and, you know, for this crazy dream, you know, and then I married somebody who also understood my eccentricities and, you know, doesn't mind having Egyptian stuff all over the place, and the basement is just covered in stuff. So I got really lucky.
Yeah. I see Aset is still here. Aset, you usually she's always in our live chat, so it's great to see her again. Do you have a question for Marissa, Aset?
And I think Lennon might. Yeah. Lennon's mom is trying to get my eye.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have Lennon after Aset.
Yes. So hi, Marissa, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Curtis, for bringing everyone together. I love seeing you all. So in your learning about all of these different artifacts that are in different museums around the world, is there something that you've read about or only seen pictures of that you would love to see in person?
Ooh.
You know, like some people are like, oh my gosh, I would love to go see the Mona Lisa, or
yeah. It's hard. I mean, I would love to see King Tut's treasures again, just because to look at, now that I know so much more, it was almost, I feel, lost on me when I went and I saw that when I was younger. My dad and I went, I think twice. I can't remember now. It all blurs together when you're this age, right? But now, as an adult who understands more, and I know a lot more, the craftsmanship of those, like a chair, just a chair, forget the pectoral, right? That I know that sometimes Curtis wears, and I have it too.
Oh yeah, I wore that last night.
Yeah, I know you wore it yesterday. I would want to see this in real life, not my wooden Amazon one. I would want to see that, but you know, there's so much here. Oh, and the Rosetta Stone. I've seen it, but I'd like to see it again. The Rosetta Stone, because I teach so much about it.
If you can get near it, you'll be lucky. There's always a vast crowd around to get near it.
Yeah.
My dad bought me this at the British Museum. There was a Rosetta Stone, you know, so I use this when I teach about glyphs.
So you don't need to go there.
The British Museum?
No, you've got it there in your house.
I have so much in my house. You guys, I've been preparing for this job since I was forever. Every time I would go to museum, I would buy something and be like, oh, you know what? I might be able to use that one day when I'm a teacher at one point in my life. And I have a collection of ridiculousness because I always knew I would be doing this one day.
Yeah.
I never doubted it.
Yeah. But Aset, a piece that I would still like to see. A piece that I would still like to see, Aset, is I think it's in Belgium. There's the death mask of a young priest, and his name was Nefertem. And the death mask, a lot of people presume it's a woman, but it's actually a man, and he was called Nefertim because when he was born, he was like so pretty. He looked like a girl. So that's the one I'd like to see. You should check out. I think it's in Belgium, in Brussels.
I'm curious what my father would. Dad, can you, and my sister, and my father, you know, or Lennon, you know, or Rosie, the young kids, like, what is something you guys want to see? I mean, we have so much, we're so lucky, you know, we're so close to the Met, but like my dad's in Florida, right? So, you know, good luck at the Fort Lauderdale Museum of Art. I mean, not to put down the Fort Lauderdale Museum of Art, but I'm a snob when it comes to the Met.
Yeah.
And I wear it on my sleeve.
Exactly.
They'll never hire me. I'll never get a job there.
So have you never been to like the storage area at the Met where they keep the things that aren't on display? Have you been back there, and is there something fascinating that
what's interesting, the Met was able to figure out how to put the entire collection, 100% of their Egyptian collection, on display in those little study galleries in the back. It is very unusual. I can't even think of another example. They were able to do that, everything. So the storage would be more the Greek and the Roman stuff. They have visible storage for American furniture upstairs. You just walk, and there's no labels, just a time period, and then the American furniture. But when I worked at MoMA, I had to write a grant for the archives. And so I was allowed access into the archives of the Museum of Modern Art. And that's cool, because I like learning about people, like seeing the letters that artists would write to each other. That was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. You said, Osset, by the way, I love your little Ankh earrings.
Am I wearing my own?
They're very nice.
I always have
the eye.
This is my favorite. This is the one my dad and I, the first time I went to Egypt, I bought that with my father. And then this is from the Met, the bobbard. I always have. You'd think I'd have all the luck in the world because I'm always wearing something, some symbol, some magical symbol from ancient Egypt.
Yeah. But Marissa, you said that there was someone who had a question.
Well, Lennon and Rosie are young, so I was wondering if they wanted
I wrote it in the chat. He didn't want to say it out loud.
Yeah, Rosie.
So you've been giving a lot of tours in the Met, right? So after a bunch of years, have you noticed any like hidden details and artifacts or things that maybe you didn't notice at first or didn't know about?
1000%. Every single time I'm there, I'm like, I cannot believe I didn't notice this before. Oh yeah, it never stops. Never stop learning. Never. Even like the statue of Horemheb as scribe. I mean, how many times have I stood in front of that and explained it to people? I'll see something new. It's amazing, right? What your brain, and again, that's why I love going with new guests and new clients, because then I see it through their eyes and like, oh, they're seeing this, and oh yeah, let's connect that to that. And like my heart is so full afterwards. It's like I have so much, I don't even know what the word is, but
brings you joy.
Joy. I like that word. Yes.
Yeah. So I think we'll take one more question from the audience.
Barbara? I'm just seeing all some other names now.
Who's ready?
Dad, do you have anything you want to say, or Lonnie? I mean, my father was my inspiration. You got to put yourself on mute. You're on. You did it.
Let's go back to Egypt.
Well, that's the thing. Like, will I get back, now? And, I get sad thinking about that.
No, in a year or two, we'll be able to go back. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but,
as long as we don't take another cruise in which we both got sick.
Yeah.
Everybody on that ship got sick.
Yeah. And now
We asked the doctor, he said it was the air, quote unquote. It was the air.
Yeah.
I think it was the man cutting the cheese.
No, they say they wash their cabbage in the Nile.
Oh my God.
And not their lettuce in the Nile when they put the salad out. So that's very
misery. It's miserable. You didn't even get off the boat to go see Karnak. Like you just were like, I'm not even going to see that. You just stayed on the boat. Like that's how sick we were. And then I went to the emergency room in Cairo, and a man doctor was on, and they wouldn't see me because I was a woman, and they had to wait and get a female doctor who was a GI. That's the only one that was around, a GI. I don't even know what she was, but we had to wait, and they gave me an anti-nausea shot. But I had to wait for this woman. I'm like, give me the darn shot. I'll do it myself. I was very sick, and it was like, I don't care who gives me the shot. The hand is a man or a woman, but in Cairo, a woman had to give me the shot, the injection, right? Do you remember that, Dad?
Yeah, and I think the next day we had to fly to Morocco.
Oh yeah, that was good fun.
We didn't want to get, that was a joke too.
That was great fun on the plane for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good fun.
Yeah.
It's part of it.
Yeah. Well, Marissa, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me tonight so we could learn more about you and about what you do. And thank you everybody who joined.
Curtis, for once again bringing everybody together. It's amazing that you do this.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Let's carry on, Curtis.
Thanks. So I hope we'll see.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you, Marissa.
I hope we'll see everybody tomorrow night when I chat to Emily DeForest. As I was saying, she's the winner of Eurovision from 2013. So we'll be chatting to her.
Oh my God.
So will be nice to see everyone. And thank you so much everyone for joining. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, Percy, Isabel, everybody who joined, Arset, all of you guys. And just have a great evening, and we'll chat soon. And thanks again, Marissa.
Hi, brother.
Hello.
Unfortunately, so many programs going out.
Just
But
joining
you're clashing with other people. Yeah.
Hi, Percy,
Okay.
Isabel. How are you guys?
Hello.
Hi, Marissa. You
We
look
don't talk
gorgeous.
Thank you. I know, right? I was just saying how this is only the 12th time I've done my hair and makeup on since last March. I'm excited.
We're going to mute ourselves again. Thank you.
We're
Bye,
listening
Isabel.
to you with great pleasure.
So
Bye.
glad you're joining.
Very well, thank you.
I have the video of the elephants.
Oh,
room.
hello.
I
Oh,
put the
hello.
subtitles on.
I can't tell who's talking.
I just have to wait for the Wi-Fi to actually be on to upload it because it's a
Right.
bit too big to put up with the phone.
It's Curtis's.
Yeah.
thing.
Curtis will be back in a little bit. In the part of South Africa where he is, there's a cyclone, so the internet doesn't always be with us.
I'm back.
Curtis, can you hear us?
Yes, I'm back. Hi. Chateau Diaries are so much fun. I can't remember, Osset, if you joined the interview with Stephanie.
I don't remember if she was there.
I don't remember. I remember listening to parts of it afterwards.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I like the old stuff on the show. I like when she shows there's this one doorway in her attic that I was like, oh, please talk about that doorway, because it was original, and that attic video was the best. I love that. I wanted to know about that doorway.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh my God, Denise! Sorry, I'm very loud. Hi, Denise! Oh my God, this is Marge, Linda. Holy guacamole!
There's a lot of people.
We're done. No, stop.
You've graduated from Harvard. You are.
Doesn't mean I'm anything.
Does.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Dad. It's like you're like my parents and my sister are always saying, own it, own it, own it. And I never, ever own it, ever. You guys want to watch a funny show? Watch my parents try and get on Zoom. Watch it. It's going to be fun. We're going to see, we're going to see up my mom's nose. Then we're going to see, what are we going to see, Lonnie? I don't know what we're going to see. My parents are hysterical.
Dad is here. He's going to sit down and he'll be next to me.
Wait, who's the Kate? Who's Kate? Oh my God, Alana! Oh, I gotta stop saying, oh my God. Which Kate?
Kate Brassfield, lady.
Oh, it's not Kate Hi!
He has
Hello, folks.
signing on that he's ever had for an interview.
Kate just posted on her Facebook page how she has twins as well, how she's teaching her twins real math, not this ridiculous
I won't show
math.
you.
Sorry for all the
Just you're
teachers who are
eating.
off.
You can't be.
It's very
I'll just show you so she'll see you're here. Don't put anything in your mouth.
Don't put it,
There's Dad.
Mom?
Where's the popcorn? Where's the popcorn? I can't watch the show without popcorn.
BYOP, bring your own popcorn.